From Newsnight, I'm meteorologist Daniel Bonds. This is Facebook Live. Now, this is the latest on our newest named storm. This is Tropical Storm Nate, and this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. It does have winds of 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 50. It's moving towards the northwest at about 9 miles per hour. Kind of tough to see the center of circulation with this system and kind of give you a geography, or at least an idea of where this thing is. This is Nicaragua right here, and this is Honduras, and the center of circulation is right around there. And this is the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. It has gradually shifted more towards the west, and that was the case with the latest update as of 11 o'clock. It is expected to kind of move into the Gulf of Mexico, maybe become a hurricane at some point over the weekend, a weak hurricane, maybe a Category 1 storm, and then eventually make landfall. It looks like early Sunday morning, somewhere along the Gulf Coast, and then kind of make a turn more towards the north and east, eventually becoming a tropical depression, then a remnant low. So something we're watching pretty closely. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. There's the expectation for landfall at some point, maybe early Sunday morning. And as we mentioned, it is expected to kind of turn more towards the north and east. If you remember yesterday, the cone of uncertainty included all of South Carolina, and now it's only the upstate of South Carolina, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. It's still something we've got to watch. Obviously, when you have these tropical systems coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, a lot of times we're on the eastern side of the center of circulation, so sometimes that can produce some severe weather for us. So again, that's something we'll be watching, including some heavy downpours. A little bit of closer view of that cone of uncertainty, as we mentioned, does include at least the upstate of South Carolina. And you see that this line right here, right through there, that corresponds with 8 o'clock Monday morning. So that's the forecast from the Hurricane Center, at least as of 11 o'clock this morning. Here are the spaghetti plots. I know a lot of people like to look at these, and the spaghetti plots all are in pretty good consensus, but most of them are kind of on the western side of this cone of uncertainty. This is the cone of uncertainty. You can kind of see that darker red line. That is the forecast from the Hurricane Center, and the rest of these are the spaghetti plots. You can kind of see most of them on the western side of that cone of uncertainty, but they're all in pretty good consensus, kind of turn it more towards the north and east, and this is through Tuesday at 8:30. So this is a storm we're going to continue to watch. Now, we put this kind of storm into motion here in the forecast. Put my earpiece in better. You can kind of see as we go through time. We're going to see the moisture increase regardless of what happens. Moisture is going to be increasing, so we will see at least an opportunity for a couple of showers on Saturday. Here's our forecast at 4 o'clock, some showers. And then here comes maybe Hurricane Nate moving northward. And you kind of see it here. This is with our forecast model and the Hurricane Center's thinking, and it's going to make landfall at some point early Sunday morning. Again, the moisture is going to be increasing for us regardless of what happens. We're going to see more moisture, and we are going to see some chances for some rain. Here's what we're thinking, at least the global model is thinking as far as rainfall is concerned. At least this model here, the American model, I'm thinking about 1.5 inches or so. Better chances, or at least higher amounts of rain, maybe in the upstate of South Carolina, mountains of North Carolina, and in Tennessee. At least this model, about 1.5 inches in Columbia. And then this is the European model. It's going for even less rain for us here in the Midlands, but still keeping the higher amounts up towards the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, up towards Knoxville and Chattanooga. So there's a quick, I guess, overview of what's happening with Tropical Storm Nate. And since we're on Facebook Live, do we have any questions, Beth?
Everyone is just ready for Christmas and no more.
Ready for Christmas.
No more tropical storms. Of course, people want to know how it will affect us. And then, where does it look like it might land?
Landfall. Let's see. We can zoom in a little bit closer. It looks pretty close to maybe Louisiana, maybe close to New Orleans right there. If you look pretty close there, and was talking to Dion this morning, he was saying they were having some problems with the pumps there, so they need any rain there. Ironically enough, we could use the rain from this system. We don't want the wind, obviously, but we could use the rain from this system. But that's where it looks like it's going to make landfall. You don't always want to just pay attention to that red line, because that's going to shift west and east. But it's maybe somewhere in that cone of uncertainty looks like the best guess as of right now.
So it'll be mostly just rain for us, no storms. What about tornadoes?
Well, that's the thing. If we're on the eastern half of this center of circulation, that's where you don't want to be. You don't want to be on this side, but there is still that possibility we could have some tornadoes with this system. As it moves to our west, we'll be on the eastern half of that center of rotation. So that's what we'll be watching for. The potential for severe weather, some heavy downpours. But I will say the farther this thing pushes west, the less opportunity for that for us. So that's why we're watching it closely. If you remember 94, we had Tropical Storm Beryl come out of the Gulf of Mexico, produced a lot of tornadoes. We had think it was Francis back in 2004, came out of the Gulf of Mexico, produced some tornadoes. So anytime we have this type of scenario with a tropical system coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, that's our first concern, would be the tornadoes it can spawn off and the heavy downpours.
Jerry wants to know how or if this will affect Beaufort area this weekend.
Right now, it looks like some rain, but like I said, the farther this thing goes west, the less it's going to impact us. But there is going to be a chance for some rain in South Carolina. We also got a cold front that's going to be approaching, it looks like Tuesday. So we don't have that working against us or working for us as far as the rain chances are concerned. But I would say a chance for rain in Beaufort this weekend as well.
Lakeisha, she said earlier that's her father's name too, by the way, is Nate.
Nate's Lakeisha's father.
We have someone who works here named Nate too. She asks, if it does cut through the upstate, will all of South Carolina be affected?
At least all of South Carolina is going to be affected at least some way because of the moisture that's going to be traveling northward. So we are going to see opportunities for rain. How much severe weather just depends on this track. If it's farther west, then it's better for us as far as severe weather is concerned. A little bit closer east, then we're talking about a little bit more of a problem as far as severe weather is concerned. But as I showed just a second ago with the rainfall amounts, with the global models, at least these are indicating, this is the American model, it's indicating most of the heavier rain may be more towards the upstate of South Carolina, mountains of Tennessee, and North Carolina. But again, these will be evolving as we go through time. This is highly dependent on the track and the strength of the storm.
Yeah, several people are asking how it will affect their specific area.
Yeah.
Sean is asking about Lexington.
It's hard to say specifics at this time. It would be just a random guess. If you're talking about a chance, right now it's a chance for rain. A pretty good chance for rain Sunday and Monday, and maybe breezy conditions on Monday. But again, this all is dependent on the track of the system.
Okay, that actually looks like about all the questions.
All right.
Now, you want to just maybe re-loop
Yeah.
people who are just joining in?
So this was the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, and again, it's our latest named storm. This is Tropical Storm Nate. Has winds of 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 50, moving towards the northwest at 9 miles per hour. Here is the forecast track, and if you notice from yesterday, it's shifted a little bit farther east, and that's good news for us here in the Midlands. But it is expected to maybe become a Category 1 storm at some point over the weekend and then make landfall maybe early Sunday morning. Right now, it looks like it could be Alabama, Mississippi, maybe Louisiana, somewhere along the Gulf Coast. And again, this thing may go back and forth a little bit, like the windshield wiper effect, go west and east a little bit more. A little bit closer to us here in South Carolina. Right now, the cone of uncertainty does include portions of the state. Keep in mind, this could shift a little bit farther east as well. But right now, with this track, we'd see the potential for some rain and the potential for some severe weather Sunday into Monday. So again, a storm we'll be watching very, very closely over the next several days. We'll have a better idea of where this thing's going to go once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. Much better idea where this thing may be headed then. But there is a look at Nate. Thank you so much for joining us on this Facebook Live.